Yeah, Jean-Luc can explain to Canadians what 9/11 was really like.
Fine.
Oh, I'm not cutting. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
This is how Alex will know.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, and welcome to Crying in the Book Club, the hit new podcast where three emotional friends talk about movies that make them emotional. I'm Panda. I'm your host, also known as Emily. I forgot that I go by my Christian name on this podcast because it's been a while since I've hosted.
Why do you go by your Christian name on this podcast?
Because that's what you guys call me. So I when Jean-Luc introduced me as Emily, I just was like, sure, yeah, that's because
We can call you Panda.
I mean, it doesn't matter that much. I started using the moniker Panda, just to put a modicum of distance between myself and the things that I was getting up to online, but also who listens to podcasts, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm Emily, and I'm here with my friends Alex Hanziak. Hello.
Okay, well, you just said my last name. What the fuck?
Okay. My name is
We're
Emily.
talking about anonymity. No, you have to dox yourself too.
At some point,
God.
I'll be Emily Moon if I ever legally change my name to my wife's much cooler name. This is Alex Hanziak and also Chad Waller.
I don't even know how to respond to any of this. We've been talking for 8 minutes, ostensibly.
I don't know what you're
and
talking
I feel
about.
like the show has just shifted gears so hard.
Because we're in the show proper. For 5 minutes we were bullshitting and having a good and silly time, and then the real show began, and we are here to talk about Speed Racer. We're here to talk about Speed Racer, and I'm sorry, listeners, we're not here to talk about we're not here to talk about Mock Go Go Go, the Japanese manga, or any of their. As I found out, there were 2 attempts at making Speed Racer adaptation comics for an American market. I didn't read either of those either. I thought about it, decided not to because I decided I didn't care enough. But the real reason that this episode is happening, this episode that you're listening to, is this is a filler episode. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, it's because due to me being out of town for a few weeks and then Jean-Luc being out of town directly after, we were not able to properly correctly schedule the next episode in our reading of Grant Morrison's X-Men. So this is something that we threw together because we needed a filler episode. Alex said we can get Chad on to talk about Speed Racer, and I had literally the night before Alex said this watched Speed Racer with my Sunday night weekly movie watching group, and so I said, hell yeah, let's do an episode on Speed Racer. So it is time, I guess, for us to actually talk about Speed Racer. I'm gonna give a little bit of background on. This is just on the movie. I'm not really going to be talking that much about Mock Go Go Go. I'm sorry to disappoint anyone, even though we are a comic book podcast. Speed Racer is a 2008 sports action comedy film written and directed by the Wachowski sisters, based on the manga series of the same name created by Tatsuo Yoshida. As I mentioned earlier, technically the series for this is called Mock Go Go Go, but in the English language version was called Speed Racer. A live-action Speed Racer film had been in development hell since 1992, having changed actors and filmmakers until 2006, when producer Joel Silver and the Wachowskis collaborated to begin production on the film. Speed Racer was shot in and around Potsdam and Berlin from June to August 2007. It premiered in on April 26th, 2008 at the Nokia Theater in New York City and was released in the United States on May 9th, 2008 by Warner Bros. Pictures. Upon initial release, the film received mixed reviews from critics who praised the action sequences, musical score, cinematography, and performances, but were divided on its overuse of CGI and criticized its screenplay and runtime. The film grossed $93.9 million worldwide against a $120 million budget. It was subsequently nominated in multiple categories at the Teen Choice Awards as well as the Golden Raspberry Awards. In subsequent years, Speed Racer has garnered a strong cult following on social media. Speed Racer was not appreciated in its time, including by me, a person who didn't see it in theaters at the time, but did see it on television a couple of years after it was in theaters. So I do have a little bit of history with Speed Racer, which we will get into when we get to the discussion questions. Real quick, if you are not familiar with the plot of Speed Racer, the movie, I mean, we are probably going to be talking in full spoilers because this is a movie that is like 8 years old or whatever. I don't know how to do math.
20? No, not 20.
No, that's not right.
16 years old.
Yeah, 16 years. I went backwards on the math. I was attempting to do it in my head, but I have dyscalculia, so that was a bad idea. But yeah, this is a movie that has been out long enough to not necessarily warrant a spoiler warning, but I'm going to give it anyway. We're going to be talking full spoilers. I know Alex and I have most recently watched this, and Chad, I don't think you watched this again in preparation, but Speed Racer lives eternal in your heart, so that's fine.
I was gonna rewatch it, and then we watched the Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one that came out when I was in high school instead.
Okay, I mean, you know,
honestly, like that first Pirates of the Caribbean movie also fucks pretty hard, so I can't even blame you for that.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I want to say what we're all thinking, and it's, hey, is there a picture of a dragon fucking the Mach 5? Because, you know, there should be. And the answer is I can't fucking find one. So
Unforge.
I'm on terrible. Photoshop right now. I'm using my mouse because I don't have a tablet. I'm drawing us some dragon Speed Racer smut.
Your dedication is inspiring.
I think
I am dedicated to the craft. I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I'm not an artist.
Right.
Oh, man,
I think it would have been a good bit if we didn't say Chad was on the show and just pretended you were Jean-Luc, and then
that would be really good.
Just hit play, you know.
That's so much funnier than I am, unfortunately.
But Jean-Luc, I'm drinking from a Star Wars glass just for you.
Oh, what? Can you explain in detail what is on the glass?
So it's glass. And it's got a TIE fighter, but it's not actually a TIE fighter because this is from the First Order. No! Oh no! It is it's the Empire. It's the First Order. Yeah, that's the whole story. Thanks for tuning in, Jean-Luc.
Oh, I'm so glad.
You, bud.
I'm happy we did that.
Okay, so a brief plot summary of Speed Racer the movie. Again, cribbed from Wikipedia. The plot of Speed Racer the movie revolves around Speed Racer, an 18-year-old automobile racer who follows his apparently deceased brother's career, choosing to remain loyal to his family and their company, Racer Motors, which causes difficulties after he refuses a contract that E.P. Arnold Royalton, owner of Royalton Industries, offers him.
Wow.
Yeah, the thing about Speed Racer is that it is not an adaptation of Mach Go Go Go. It is an adaptation of the American localized or the English language localized version of Speed Racer. And it's incredible in that way. and we're definitely going to talk about it. I would like to know what each of your individual history is with the film Speed Racer. Like, how did you end up seeing it for the first time? Like, what was your... I have another question about, like, your background with Speed Racer as a franchise, but you can include some of those details here if it is relevant. But I would just like to know what your each individual history is with Speed Racer 2008.
You want to go first, Alex?
No.
So I have a really disappointing answer, and it's that I don't remember.
Hell yeah.
You don't remember how you ended up seeing this movie for the first time?
No, I want to say it. I think I saw some like gifs of it posted on like NeoGAF at the time.
Uh-huh.
And people were debating about whether it was good or not, and I was like, I like the Wachowskis. I don't really like to debate online, but I want to know what the fuss is about because it's getting heated. Mm-hmm. And so I watched it, and I was like, that movie was great.
I mean, this was a very divisive film at the time, so I'm not surprised that there would be like people on NeoGAF that were getting pretty heated about it.
I don't know if that's actually true, like my story. That is what I think maybe happened, but it's been so long.
I know he's gonna fact check you.
And I'm just, for honesty, I'm trying to frickin' color in this Mach 5. I'm gonna do the dragon.
I'll take over for
right
now. You focus on your work, Chad. You're doing good work.
Okay, thank you.
But it was a dark and
literally. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm like literally tracing over just a piece of art from Speed Racer to get the car down. But then I'm gonna have to like actually draw a dragon and a dragon penis. I don't know what a dragon penis looks like. I've never.
You could definitely Google a picture of a dragon.
It's like big and lizardy.
I'm pure Emily.
You're right. I was also pure until I saw the movie Speed Racer. It was a dark and stormy night. It was we're like me and Adam, my brother, were bored, and we're like, well, we should watch something. And we went on Netflix and we started watching a movie by Will Smith where he's like, I think it's called Concussion, and it's about brain injuries in football. And like we're 10 minutes in, and then he like cuts open someone's brain, and we're like, oh, so we turned that movie off. And then we watched Doctor Strange, the first 10 minutes of that. And there was another scene where they're like cutting into someone's brain, and we're like, this is ridiculous. Let's just watch something that looks silly. And there's a movie called Speed Racer, so we're like, let's put it on. And it was just a delight. I had no idea that the Wachowskis worked on this, that it was their brainchild. No pun intended, I guess. But yeah, watched it then, and then I mean, ever since then, it's just lived in my life. I think it's my favorite movie of all time, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, real heads know that this is not the first time that the three of us had talked about Speed Racer on a podcast. There was an episode of the previous iteration of this show, the Comics Podcast, where we talked about Speed Racer. But you're getting it again, baby. I had no idea about your story with Speed Racer, Alex. That's very funny. I was aware of Speed Racer in that I was aware that it was a thing that cartoons that I watched occasionally would reference, and I guess specifically I am talking about there's an episode of Dexter's Laboratory that is literally just entirely a parody of Speed Racer, like specifically the localized version of Mach Go Go Go. And that was basically like my primary context for Speed Racer was literally just that episode of Dexter's Laboratory for a really long time. And then Speed Racer came out, and I didn't see it in theaters. I heard from like just sort of pop culture osmosis that it was not a good movie, and I watched like probably a third of it on like HBO or something at my parents' house like a year or so after it came out, and I was like 16 and like too pretentious at the time to like be able to understand like what the Wachowskis were cooking at the time. But like when I rewatched this movie as an adult, having heard that it had developed this bit of a cult following online, and hearing people say, hey, the Speed Racer movie is good actually, and having watched several Wachowski films in the meantime, I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And then like I was like, holy shit, this movie rules so fucking hard, because it rules so fucking hard. So that's my history with Speed Racer.
Heck yeah.
Were either of you, I guess we technically already answered this, neither of you were familiar with the franchise before you saw this movie at all?
I had definitely seen that Dexter's Lab episode.
Okay.
So I knew that.
Okay.
I know Wacky Races, I feel like kind of parodied Speed Racer a bit.
Probably. I didn't watch enough Wacky Races, but like I would believe that.
So I had seen that kind of stuff, but as far as the show itself goes, probably not. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Things would get aired on Cartoon Network that,
oh sure, yeah,
you know, you were along for the ride.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, go on.
Where am I? Yeah, it was the first time I saw anything Speed Racer was the movie, and then I watched the English dub cartoon. I like bought it on DVD, and I couldn't get through it because it was just so bad. It was just like, it's
definitely one of those things that like you kind of have to be nostalgic for that kind of thing in order to actually appreciate it, because it was not it's not very good, and they didn't put a lot of budget into it at the time, which is why it's not very good.
Yeah. And like every episode's kind of like the same, ends up that way. And then sometimes he goes to the Middle East a lot, and like kind of does like not war crimes, but like crimes in another country that it's like, I don't know if you should be doing that, Speed Racer.
Yeah, so. I haven't actually watched any of the Speed Racer cartoon, but like I'm not surprised. That sounds like something that would come out of a manga that was being written around the time that Speed Racer, that Mach Go 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 was coming out. So that tracks to me, unfortunately.
Chad, how's your drawing coming along?
I got the Mach 5 done, and it looks like shit, but it's you can tell what it is.
Excellent.
I got a background, a little gradient background. Looks nice, classy.
Heck yeah.
I probably need a little more detail. It's kind of just blobby. That's fine. I'll fix that later. I'm looking at reference images for the dragon. I don't know where to begin. Dragons are very complicated creatures.
That's very true. I used to follow a blog on Tumblr that was just about like bad dragon art anatomy.
I don't know what color to make the dragon. I feel like this, the Mach 5 is white with a bit of red.
Make it red.
I'm using a bit of blue to kind of, offset. Maybe I should just make it red.
Like red and blue, maybe.
Is the dragon going to be like in the car, or is it like in front of it?
No. The dragon is definitely as big or bigger than the car.
Oh, okay. We'll check back in on that.
Just kind of stick figure this in, huh? That's what regular artists do, right, Emily? You start with a stick figure.
Yeah, it's like thumbnailing.
Storyboarding.
Okay. Yeah,
these are all words.
There's the head. We'll give it a nice neck.
I will say, when we did this episode last time, Jean-Luc was on it, and he hated this movie.
Yeah, so
not hated. He just didn't like it. So it was like,
look, Jean-Luc doesn't have childhood joy and whimsy in his heart, and that's what you need in order to appreciate Speed Racer.
He does, but it's all dedicated to Star Wars. It's like it's siphoned off.
Yeah, so it doesn't count because there's no childhood joy and whimsy that is allotted to things like Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Did you guys did you like this movie the first time you saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm really glad. I didn't watch the whole movie the first time I saw it, but I just like, I was not at a place in my life where I could like properly appreciate Speed Racer, and I feel like a lot of people weren't, given the fact that this was so poorly reviewed at the time, despite the fact that it rules so hard. Do either of you have a favorite character?
Oh man, I just love the whole Racer X Rex Racer thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say Racer X quickly, it's Racer Rex, and it's like ha 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 ha. He's just so mysterious. He just plays Batman. Like he's just like, oh, I'm Batman. I'm racing. You better not get hurt. You're call me blah blah blah. He's great. I watching it again today, and like even the little kid Spritle, who is like, it's funny because it was clearly like there's a serious thing going on, and like halfway through that scene they just cut to Spritle and the monkey Chim Chim just like eating candy or like
live Spritle reaction.
Yeah, and it like it works. I don't know. It's like it's just like a Saturday morning cartoon, but like brought to life by talented filmmakers who just make it stunning visually. It's really cool. But yeah, I'd say Racer X and Spritle are my two favorites.
Chad, what about you? Do you have a favorite character in this movie?
I mean, you gotta love John Goodman, right? In this,
honestly, yeah.
John Goodman.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
Like he's kind of the best actor in the whole cast, and also just acting circles around everyone else.
He gets a credibility
on screen.
Like emotionally,
he really does. Actually, like he does lend an air of credibility to the screen here.
This movie should not have any emotional core, but like
he takes this so seriously, and by God, should he?
I do like Spritle and the monkey, and I feel like I shouldn't because they're inherently like very obnoxious characters and not great, but they fit. They fit really well. And it's nuts because the movie manages to balance like being a live action anime that has very serious emotional depth and spectacle that, you know, you're not going to find anywhere else, with the fact that it is like a children's cartoon.
Yes.
I don't know how it does that. It's fucking crazy.
I mean, I guess we can scroll down to another question I have here, which is, are the Wachowski sisters geniuses? And I think the answer is yes, based on this movie and everything else I've ever seen by them.
I just love that, like, tonally. There's like actual danger in this movie, but it's also like Saturday morning cartoon danger at the same time. Where like a racer crashes and it's the most like explosive, colorful thing, and then they get sort of like locked away in this like protective cube thing that's like, oh, they're fine though, like they're over here, and there's like actual guns being shot at people with like kids around, and there's like a ninja like poisoning people, and it's great.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting ready to give up on the dragon thing. I'm not having a good time. I don't know how to do the mouth or where to put it. I'm trying to figure out. It looks kind of like an ant with wings, but they're kind of stick figure wings. I haven't drawn them in yet. Maybe I should just do the wings instead.
Yeah, do the wings.
Do dragon wings. Let's see.
Do the wings. Sorry, Miller, what were you saying?
The execution of this film is so creative, and it was so clearly ahead of its time. Like the insane like Technicolor like color grading of everything is just it's a feast for the eyes. The way that they do montages where like the way that they do scenes where like, you know, you have multiple things in focus at the same time, like, but just also like the like this especially is a thing in montages where you're like seeing different parts of the scene at the same time. Like it's so, this movie is so cool, and watching it is insane how much better this movie can age against other films that came out in the same time frame, because like I'm constantly saying this, that like when you're going for like CGI, going for something stylized is always going to age better than trying to go for like quote unquote realism, because what does or does not count as realism is constantly evolving in terms of like, you know, visual arts and whatnot. Whereas like if you're going for a specific style and a specific like vision, like things are like it's going to hold up because you're not trying to be real. And even the scenes in this movie that are incredibly dated because of how old the CG is, like still look really good because they're doing something really interesting. Like does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like why like Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker was really hated when it came out because it was cartoony and people wanted serious Zelda.
As a Wind Waker defender, you're speaking my language.
And then you go back and play it and look at it and you're like, oh man, this is like the prettiest Zelda game ever.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out maybe Nintendo knows what they're doing. And I think Speed Racer is a very similar thing to
that, maybe the Wachowskis knew what they were doing and people were just not ready for it. Is really the feeling that I come away with. Because like including me, like I didn't see the whole movie, but I saw like a significant portion of it, and I was just not I was not in the right space to be able to appreciate it like I did when I watched it again when I was in college.
Yeah. I mean, and like in the races, it's like it's so chaotic and
it's so cool.
Just watching it today, I'm like, there's so many moments where I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but then it always pulls into focus at the right time, like whether it's a fireball going off or someone launching like a bee's nest at someone, and like it zooms in on the action. So it's like you get the chaos of like, hey, being in this race, this crazy death race that's going on, and then you don't miss any of the action that's happening too. And it's just stunning. It's cool.
Yeah.
Why am I giving this dragon spikes?
Because dragons have spikes.
I know, but it's a pain in the ass. They're very hard to draw.
What's that? What's that?
Fucking little triangles.
What's that TV show? It's with like Lazy Town.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, that's
visually, visually this like, yay! Visually this like, or maybe it's just the color scheme and the CGI. It like reminds me of that. In like, I don't know. I don't think I've actually seen a lot of Lazy Town, but what I've seen is just like that kind of background CGI, but it's a full movie, and it's like obviously like the Wachowskis are great at fight choreography, and it's just so good. And there's so many great lines in this movie. Like,
oh yeah,
it's like you don't get into a T130 to drive. You do it because you're driven. And then
there are so many lines in this movie where you're just kind of like, hell yeah. Do you guys have a favorite performance in this movie? Because I'm just gonna like get mine out the gate. It's definitely John Goodman, because he's literally giving 110% this entire fucking movie. And
for sure.
It brings me joy. Like, I mean, John Goodman is a legend and is good in literally anything he does, but it just like, it really showcases that in a movie that is as weird as this, that he is giving such an incredible, heartfelt performance the entire goddamn time.
Yeah, 100%.
I like the villain as well.
Oh yeah, he's really fun. Yeah, Royalton is absolutely like chewing the scenery every scene he is in.
And he has his, I mean, it's obviously when you meet him, you're a little bit like, okay, and you meet him, and he has a little German quote about pancakes, and it sounds very like sinister, and it means like pancakes are love, and it's like it's so hokey and that way. And then he does his heel turn so early. He like pretending to be a good guy, and then switches, and it's just like. Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful, not complicated at all villain. He's like, I like money, capitalism, stock.
No, he is not complicated at all, but he is still very fun in his performance.
Yeah, and the fact that like it's like, oh, this like racing thing that means so much to so many people has been fixed since the beginning. And it's just like that feeling of hopelessness, and then this scrappy little team led by John Goodman's son go out there and they change history, and it's good. It's good.
We've kind of talked about it, but how do you guys feel about the bold aesthetic choices and editing choices employed in this movie? Because like it is really different from anything else that came out in this era. The color and anything that's coming out now, the colors are really bright, really high contrast. The editing, like you have a lot of these really weird transitions with like characters still like kind of on the screen as the transition is happening, and people didn't totally love that, but I think it's an interesting stylistic choice personally. But how do you guys feel about like the execution of this movie, I guess, like on a technical level?
I need to pause this because something.
Yeah, I guess Chad has just sent.
There's a spoiler warning.
And this is a dragon. And it is rubbing its penis against the Mach 5.
I feel bad for the dragon. The dragon skipped leg and arm day.
That is a really good Mach 5.
The dragon also looks really like sad. Like he's like
a little bit.
He looks
like he doesn't want to rub his penis on the Mach 5.
Yeah, he looks like he's not excited about this.
I kept trying to give him a smile, but it always looked wrong. I couldn't tell where the mouth is supposed to go.
No, the problem is the eyes. You needed to do something with the eyes that made him look like he was enjoying this, because right now he just looks like he's really worried.
Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to give the dragon a little blush like in an anime. Where does that go?
Oh, yeah.
Eyes or behind the eyes?
I would say like in front of the eyes, like kind of where like the cheek would go.
This Mach 5 looks wonderful. This was great training.
Yeah, you did a great job with this Mach 5.
I don't on the Mach 5.
I'm gonna say this looks more like a human penis and not a dragon penis, but
I didn't do research on dragon penises for the show. I'm so sorry.
I guess I would have assumed that you would know what a dragon penis looks like before this.
Wow.
Actually,
am I wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, technically yes, because I clearly didn't do it right. I gave it a human cock. There, I fixed the face.
Okay.
I'm not gonna give you any pointers on the difference between dragon penis.
I didn't spoiler this one either. Jean-Luc can just
That's really funny.
No. Just put wings on the penis. Just put wings on the penis, and we're good.
Yeah, I like the like eyebrow thing that you have going on, and also the blush. I think really,
and the rar ubu. Okay, this is great.
This all definitely helps.
We'll have to censor it a bit.
Okay,
this will be our thumbnail. That's wonderful.
Hopefully our Twitter intern will post a censored version of these images when we post this episode, but anyway,
Speed Racer.
Yeah,
good.
Are the Wachowski sisters geniuses? I'm gonna say yes, based on literally everything. Yes.
What's everyone's favorite race? Because there's a few.
Oh, the second one.
The
second one is with all the jumping and the weird shit, and it's like wacky races because people got like. Because it's
that's fair.
It's underground, it's illegal, and so they can break the rules, and you never know what's gonna happen. And the transitions are all crazy. I mean, the transitions throughout the whole movie are crazy, but in that one,
that's the one where they get headhunters from like different, or they call them from like and they're like, so they go to the Vikings, they give them like Viking pelts, and they're like and they go to these
it's very silly,
ladies,
it's very good,
and they give them the diamonds and stuff.
I am kind of a sucker for like that big last race that like, because they kind of, when it comes to like the effects and stuff, they kind of pull out all the stops on this one, so it's just like kind of a feast for the eyes as far as color goes. When I rewatched this recently, I had the absolute pleasure of watching it with I have a movie watching group that meets on Sundays, and normally there's 5 people, but there was only 4 of us this time, and 2 of the 4 people had not seen this movie before. So that was quite a pleasure to experience. But also like about 2/3 of the way through the movie, the person who was like doing the screen sharing on Discord was like, when my partner downloaded a copy of this movie that was like almost 9 gigabytes big, I was like, what the hell are you doing? But now I get it. Because it's incredible to look at. Like, it's gorgeous. And I really love like that big last fight for that reason, is because they kind of pull out all the stops and are like going crazy with all of the like big lights and shit.
I like the first race most. I mean, on my newest rewatch, I guess, and because you just get so much like
it is
context
very
about
fun.
the movie, but it's done so well, and you learn about he's racing against his brother who died in a crash or is missing or something like that, and like it's such a nice moment that he like lets up at the end and lets his brother's like record still be on that track, and he looks up and
and also
family's there.
The 2 people I was watching the movie with who had not seen it before, one of them knew like the conceit that Racer X is Rex, because I mean duh, but like they didn't know that this movie tries to kind of like fake you out on that twist. And so I got to experience in real time my friends thinking that this movie had decided to do something different with its twist, and then at the very end, like the reveal where he is in fact Rex, like, and that was priceless. I could never, I couldn't trade that for anything. It was brilliant. It was incredible.
Dumb, which makes it so brilliant.
It's so silly.
Rex Racer got face surgery and now he has like better cheekbones, so he doesn't look like the guy.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
it's so silly. And it was incredible, and it was a great time for me.
Yeah, and like that scene at the end, or near the end, where like they just won that crazy race where it goes, the 2-parter, and then they get betrayed by the racer, and Speed Racer is about to leave just like his brother did, and there's like, and then his little brother Sprittle's like, where are you going, Speed? And it like flashes back to same thing with his older brother, and he has the heart-to-heart with John Goodman. It's just like, how is this movie so like
incredible?
And the pacing of it too. I think because the races are so like action-packed and balls to the wall kind of thing, that like it's paced so well that the in-between stuff kind of gives you a nice break from it, but is also nice and silly and and great stuff throughout. So
I can't believe we've spent 44 minutes on the show. We haven't talked about how anti-capitalist this movie is.
Oh, that's the whole thing. Yeah, that's true.
Hell yeah, let's fucking go. I mean, technically, like 10 minutes of this is probably gonna get. Well, I was gonna say probably gonna get cut, but then I remembered Alex's editing style, which is
thank you,
not
signature.
To cut. But
yes.
I remember when I rewatched it, or like maybe watched it for the first time, be like, oh, I didn't expect like a thick political message out of the Speed Racer movie.
Oh yeah,
about big corporations buying up mom and pop shops and ruining, sport.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you didn't fully understand the Matrix at the time.
I feel like I understood at least 50% of the Matrix at the time.
And I said you didn't fully understand the Matrix at the time. 50% is also, definitely not fully.
It's also the movie where
the second Matrix movie isn't made for high schoolers. I mean, it is, but like,
yeah,
it's actually not that complicated when you watch it as an adult who's read more than 6 books. You're like, oh,
this is how I feel about Kingdom Hearts.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
I do want to play that, actually.
Kingdom Hearts isn't complicated. You just have to pay attention to every entry in the franchise, even if it's on a mobile phone, unfortunately.
That's fucked up. That sentence is fucked up. But we read the manga, and I don't know what it was. A part of my brain just clicked, where it was like, wait a minute, Mickey and Goofy are being sassy to each other. They're going with the Final Fantasy. I don't know.
It's cute.
Yeah, but it's a movie
Kingdom
where like
Hearts 1, definitely check it out.
Just the first one.
Oh, thank you.
Speed Racer is a movie where like a monkey throws poop at the bad guy, and it's also one where it has a hardline like message about like anti-capitalist stuff, and it's like the amount of stuff they juggle and the tone, and it still manages to like come out on top is wild.
It's so good.
Is wild.
Because it's not even subtle.
No, it really isn't.
About that movie.
Nothing in this movie is subtle. Like nothing.
Nothing.
The Wachowskis are not subtle filmmakers, and they never have been, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, only cowards hide behind like.
I was gonna say, subtext is for cowards. Is
exactly
a line from a Canadian show. I can't remember what the hell it was called.
Are you thinking of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, where he says,
"Yes, so good."
I know writers who use subtext and they're cowards.
Yeah. Cameron showed me that episode a couple years ago, and that, I mean, it stuck with me enough to remember it, but not to remember it correctly.
I reference
episodes long.
I reference that quote constantly, so that's the only reason I know where it comes from.
So good. They have off topic ish, but they have on Audible did like a Garth Marenghi book, like written by Garth Marenghi,
delightful.
and he narrates it. I haven't checked it out yet, but someday that'd be nice.
Oh, I bet that's really fun.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, just this movie it's incredible. It's incredible that it exists. I know that like I read a little bit about like the production of this movie, and like at first like they were really excited about like the weird direction that the Wachowskis were taking things in, but then like at some point there was like a rough cut shown to execs, and they were like, what the fuck is this? And so like it did kind of get kneecapped by advertising, it like leading up to it, and it did as I said, like it had a reputation for being not a good movie until like maybe the last decade or so, where it has gotten a critical reappraisal at least like 10-15 years after it came out, and I definitely think it deserves it, because this was just like, as far as an anime adaptation that is like going for the vibe of the anime without being ashamed of its own source material, which is really the biggest problem when it comes to live action anime adaptations, is that they're all ashamed of the fact that they are based on an anime. And it's like, what are you doing? You're literally an anime. Like, just fucking own it. Like, it's this and One Piece live action on Netflix are the only two properties that that are not embarrassed to be adaptations of anime, and it makes them both incredible.
I think that's a good view of it. It is very not ashamed of its source material. I think even some of the live action adaptations we've seen of Disney movies are almost ashamed of the source material, right? They're just like, we don't want to be cartoons.
I absolutely think that like most of the Disney and quote unquote live action, because some of them are literally just animated but done in a style that looks live action, but I find that these movies are desperate to distance themselves from criticisms or perceived criticisms of their originals in a way that, like, you know, I think there's a way to take a thing and reinvent it with criticisms in mind, but that the way that any of the Disney quote unquote live action films have been doing it is really lazy and not good.
Yeah, fuck you, Disney.
Chad, how do you? You're probably Chad. You're probably the person who's watched the most of the Disney live action movies here. I would think.
I've seen a couple, but only like 2.
Well, I liked Aladdin. Aladdin was like I've seen a lot of them.
Alex, how many have you seen?
I've seen Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, so you've seen 3, and Chad has seen 2, and I've seen
Mulan and like, maybe one more.
1.
Mulan was okay for parts of it and kind of lame for other parts, and all the great shit in the cartoon was just like not in the movie, and it's like, why am I here? I could just fucking watch the cartoon.
Yeah, I've been watching the Avatar Last Airbender live action, and it's like
you said Avatar The Last Airbender, and I was primed to say hell yeah, and then you said live action. I was like, oh.
I'm 3 episodes in. I don't think I'll finish, but we were watching it. We went skiing for the weekend, and we were talking about, we're gonna watch this. And one of my friends who's never seen Avatar, we ended up watching the first episode of the animated one just to like, get ready for the live action one. And then he dislocated his shoulder, so he was inside for the next couple days. And when we came back one day, he was on episode 11 of the animated series. He was just watching it, so enjoying it.
I don't blame him because it fucking rules.
Good stuff.
When fun fact, when I would, I don't know how much I have shared about my wife and I's relationship history on this podcast, but we briefly dated when we were both in high school together, and that was at the time that the Last Airbender movie was in theaters, and so we went to see it in theaters, like with a group of friends, and I remember like before the movie being like, yeah, he's gonna turn into like a badass koi fish at the end and it's gonna be dope, and then he does not do that in the M. Night Shyamalan live action movie, and I've never been so upset by a theatrical experience in my life, I think, is thinking that I was at least gonna get to see a cool CG koi fish, and I did not.
Dragon Ball GT also did not give a shit or respect the source material.
That was the
Remember
first.
that one?
Well,
that was the first time I experienced
GT,
Dragon Ball.
Or no, Dragon Ball Evolution. That was a live action.
I was gonna say no. Dragon Ball Evolution is so bad that the guy who wrote the screenplay for that has come and said, like, "Hey, I'm sorry that I wrote such a bad screenplay for this movie."
I think I got drunk and watched that once and was like,
That's good for that. That's good.
I've seen it a couple
of fun when you're hammered.
I've seen it a couple of times, and also I did see it in theaters.
I think in total in my life,
Star Wars.
Worse than Turkish Star Wars.
Oh,
wow.
I think so.
Wow. Well, yeah, but wow. I think I've seen more in like per minute watching. I've seen more of that movie than I've seen of Dragon Ball of any other kind.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But I played more hours.
Dragon Ball ZK.
You should watch.
No, Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
No,
I play the Dragon Ball Z card game, so that's enough.
You should
for me.
just watch the original Dragon Ball anime and nothing else. You don't need to watch.
No, Dragon Ball Z.
You don't need to watch Dragon Ball Z. You don't need to watch any of that. Yes, you do.
Everybody needs to watch Dragon Ball Z and then realize it's not actually that good.
Don't listen to Chad. You just need to watch Dragon Ball.
All right.
I don't trust. Well, okay, I can't say that, Emily, because you had me watch Utna. Your taste in anime is strong 50-50.
Look, it's not that Dragon Ball Z is bad. It's that I personally prefer Dragon Ball because like it's more of a like silly cartoon, and then Dragon Ball Z is when things get really focused on like the fights and stuff, and that's like
Dragon Ball Z.
Like there are fights in Dragon Ball, but it's not as much of the point as it is in Dragon Ball.
When you're a 9-year-old boy, Dragon Ball Z is like the pinnacle of television.
Unfortunately, I was never a 9-year-old boy, so I can't relate to this experience. All I can tell you is that I liked it when Dragon Ball was silly. So
when his hair turns yellow because he's sad and the planet's blowing up, and you're like, motherfucker, he's gonna be a Super Saiyan. I have to tell everyone about this.
I have Vegeta in Fortnite. Does that do anything?
It's so weird to see Vegeta in Fortnite with a gun.
He doesn't need a gun.
He
That's his whole thing.
I respect Fortnite for that though, just being like, you know what, all are welcome in Fortnite. Lady Gaga,
everyone is
Vegeta.
here.
I was playing as Vegeta. My brother was playing as Goku, and we fought Peter Griffin and got his shotgun, and then we won the game.
Incredible.
What more do you want in life? What more is there?
I have a question.
Mm.
Which Speed Racer character cries the most?
The dad, because his sons keep leaving him.
Honestly, you're probably
John
right.
Goodman.
Oh, so
I think
good.
that one mob boss guy. Also, like, we didn't talk about the mob boss at all, but it's just like such a hokey little like side thing where he's like,
it's so silly.
And there's a scene where he has his like barracudas, and there's a hole in the tank, so he tells his like grunt guy to like stick his finger in there, and his finger gets eaten, and it's good.
But everything about this movie, gold.
It's good. I think the
Just go watch it.
Finger eating guy cries a lot. I think because he doesn't get respected. Yeah, or the U.S. Army soldiers.
I'm gonna stick with the dad, but I think that your answer is good, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think one of the characters in Speed Racer ended up getting cast in Ninja Assassin because of his martial arts skills in Speed Racer. I want to say
the racer? Is it the racer for the one he teams up with?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
And I remember being really excited for Ninja Assassin when I was in high school, and that came out. We saw that on Thanksgiving Day. That movie is dumb as shit and probably not very good, but the highs of it are very fun.
I will someday watch that, and I'll probably
I have that on DVD.
I'll just wait till I watch it with you, Chad.
Hell
That's probably it. I've waited this long, you know.
I have so many bad movies on DVD I want to rewatch, and I can't make myself rewatch any of them because it's like a commitment, and I could do something better.
No, we gotta plan like a bad movie festival at your house, and we're all gonna come into town, and we'll start in the morning like a movie festival, and just have movies throughout the day.
Can we have awards? Can we have awards?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good.
Of course.
Good.
I might be miserable if we do that.
But it'll be great.
So I could go outside.
Yeah, of course.
No. No.
We lock the doors. We would take breaks in between movies. It's just it would start early in the day, and then we would progressively watch several movies. And
I've only watched
give them awards.
2 movies in a day once, and I was in high school at the time.
Okay, we have to do 3 then. We have to do 3.
Yeah, we have to do 3.
It was the same movie. I think it was Euro Trip.
You watched it twice in a row?
Yeah, well, I watched it with a friend of mine, and he was like, that movie was really funny. Should we watch it again? And I was like, I still have like 80 ounces of Mountain Dew because I bought 100 ounces of Mountain Dew at the gas station. Sure.
Holy fuck.
Jesus Christ.
And it was like 4 a.m, and
I don't
know. Was it Euro Trip or was it a different? I think it was Euro Trip.
It's either Euro Trip or Road Trip. They're very interchangeable.
It was definitely one of those shitty comedies from like 2004.
I don't think I've ever watched a movie, finished it, and then watched it again back to back.
No, I've never done that.
No, it was The Girl Next Door.
Of course, featuring also Emil Hirsch from this
Speed
movie.
Racer. Also, great that his first name is Speed, his last name is Racer. Great. No notes. No notes.
Is that true? Is that a really happy coincidence we just had?
Yeah, no, he is in
Emil Hirsch.
He's in the movie The Girl Next Door, I believe.
Wow.
Chad only likes Emil Hirsch.
Can you look up The Girl Next Door real quick, just to check on that for me? I'm pretty sure that Emil Hirsch was in that movie.
He was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He had a brief moment.
The Girl Next Door, 2007. An unspeakable torture and abuse committed on a teenager. Nope, that is the wrong one.
That's not the right one.
Yep, Emil Hirsch was in that.
What was Alex? What was the other thing that you were saying before?
He was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That did remind me. There was another movie that I watched that Emil Hirsch was in, called Autopsy of Jane Doe, that I believe Jean-Luc has seen. So it has.
Is he related to Alex Hirsch?
I don't think so.
Yep. That would be cool.
I did watch some Gravity Falls earlier today, though.
I gotta rewatch that. I've only seen it once in its entirety.
Oh, you should definitely watch it more than once in its entirety.
Oh, Emil Hirsch played the main guy in that Into the Wild movie thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played Christopher McCandless in
good old Christopher McCandless. I read that in high school.
Yep.
Yeah. What a guy.
Sure thing. But do you guys hear the sound? Do you hear it?
Oh yeah.
Do you hear the sound?
Chad, you hear that sound?
It's the sound of the doomsday clock. It's signaling our first ever Cry Space. It's a new segment that we're trying out on the show, where we talk about one thing that made us cry in the intervening time between the last recording and this recording. And I already have one. If you guys need some time to think,
go for it.
So I have a little bit of setup that is not the Cry Space itself. I have my wife and I are about to move across the country, so we've been working on like getting copies of all of our medical records and stuff from various clinics that we've been to throughout the city, so that we can give those to our new doctors when we move to make sure, because when you have to request records like from your previous doctor, they can take like 30 days to reply to your current doctor, and that's just like a hassle. So we've been getting paper copies from all our doctors, and this includes a doctor that I got retested for ADHD by last year because of some bullshit with getting my meds, and I had to go get a copy of the test, or not of the test, but like of his report from the test that he gave me to determine that I had ADHD. And as we were like chatting, he asked my Cry Spaces. He asked me if I was on my medication today, that the day that we were talking, and I said no, because I needed to like turn in a copy of the report also to keep getting my medication. And I said no, and he said, yeah, I can tell. So that's my Cry Space, is getting read to filth by this
roasted by a doctor.
He's like this 60-year-old man in a lab coat.
Damn. Pour one out.
Yeah, pour one out for me.
My Cry Space goes back. It's not this week, which breaks the Cry Space rules.
I mean, there are no rules in Cry Space.
I like that. But I love my wife.
Cry Space means never having to say you're sorry.
That's true. I love my wife to be. You know what? Love her to death.
So true.
Fantastic person. But we watched Speed Racer together one day. And this was years ago.
Oh no.
And we were watching it like on a laptop in her bedroom. So she was like kind of sleepy and stuff. And she fell asleep while we were watching Speed Racer. And I looked over and she was sleeping. And it just hurt. I think that's the thing that has hurt me like the most in my life, which I live a good life then. I know.
You're Alex Hurt.
I'm Alex Hurt.
Hurt CA.
Check out Gravity Falls live 10 years ago. It's great. But yeah, so she's never seen the full Speed Racer movie, but that experience of like seeing parts of it, like she wakes up and it's just like lights and colors and like, the fantastic of the movie. But it has colored her perception of the movie. And yeah, I don't know. My goal is to watch it again with her someday. But until then, it's my cross to bear. So yeah. But
you'll have to bring it with you on your wedding night.
But I got a Frisbee made, and it's Speed Racer.
Oh wow!
Oh, I love that. What the fuck?
That's a good way to end the show.
So this is for my my groomsmen at my wedding. I got everybody like a disc. So I got like one of his like cat, and it's like on there.
Oh, another that's incredible.
Is Garrett from Community, because he loves that Crisis Alert thing. Anyway, so this is for my brother. And it's a good old Frisbee with Emil Hirsch on it.
Oh, that's delightful. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really good way to end off the show.
But Chad, what's your Cry Space?
Oh yeah, Chad almost got out of Cry Space.
Well, there are no rules in Cry Space, and I don't have to go.
No, what?
Well, there's one rule.
Come on, what's something that made you emotional in the past week? It doesn't have to have made you cry.
So Gravity's a real bitch.
Uh-huh.
This toy is a little alien figure of mine.
No.
Oh no.
He looks cooler now, actually.
He looks dead. He looks like he got decapitated.
Womp womp.
And I need to super glue the joints. I need to super glue the head back on. I need to super glue more joints.
Oh, that is a cry space.
So is
I'll have it laying flat and it'll still somehow fall the fuck over. I don't get it.
No, I have been there, dude. Like,
is this a cat related mishap or is this a Chad related mishap?
No, that one's Gravity related. Some of the problems with it are cat related because Ripley's like, look, I'm really graceful, and he'll jump up there and just knock all of them over.
Oh, but he's so graceful.
He's not. He's fucking
good
stupid.
Boy.
Yep.
He's the prettiest boy.
He's a top 2 cat that you currently own, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took one incredible picture of Ripley when I visited Chad, and I treasure it with my whole heart.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, speaking of, this is the end of the show, and you should check us out on Twitter at Crying Book Club. Rate and review us 5 stars on your podcasting platform of choice, please. We don't check those things, but I assume that it is good for us. If you would like to find Chad on the internet, you can do that at on Twitter at anonymband. The podcast Opinions Are Cheap. His writing at anonym.wordpress.com, his music at anonym.bandcamp.com, and his books on Amazon can be found by searching Chad Waller. If you'd like to follow Alex on the internet, you can do that on Twitter at Alex Hansiak. If you'd like to follow me, you can do that on Twitter at mpandanata or on Letterboxd and Twitch at pandabore, or the following podcasts, Imagine Me and Yushina at the Fresh Podcast Market, and that looks terrible. And that is, as Alex is reading The Ninth Life by Chad Waller as we finish this recording, hopefully next episode we will be finishing up Grant Morrison's The New X-Men, which I'm greatly looking forward to. And I don't know. Good night, everybody.
I'm gonna read an excerpt from Chad's book to end off the show.
Please do.
No,
it doesn't matter if racing never changes. What matters is if we let racing change us. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You don't climb into a T-180 to be a driver. You do it because you're driven. She shrugged as if it didn't matter. Because it didn't. Hey, how come boys are stupid?